Retired four-star General Jack Keane joins me now. General, what would a deal between Russia and Ukraine look like? Any idea?
Yeah, well, the United States has put a peace proposal together and then provided to the Ukrainian leadership to take a look at it. They've had it, for about 5 or 6 days. And as indicated, there will be a meeting tomorrow with the United States team, Wickoff, Kellogg, and Rubio, as well as ministers or representatives from the UK, Germany, and France, and obviously Ukraine leadership itself. And the deal that they're looking at, while we haven't seen the deal itself, there's been leaks about it, and some of it has just been reported. It would ask Ukraine to recognize Crimea as being not only occupied by Russia, but owned by Russia. In other words, de jure, not de facto. Russia would gain no other territory other than what it occupies, and the fighting would be frozen in place, and it would be a 15-mile demilitarized zone, or 15 kilometers demilitarized zone, to separate the Ukrainians from the Russians. Ukraine would also get control of Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, which is the largest one in Europe, which is now under Russian control. Also, troops to enforce the deal would be permitted to come into Ukraine from European countries as an enforcement. And I think another thing, in terms of restriction, there would be no NATO membership for Ukraine. Now, this is a proposal, and obviously there'll be negotiations over that proposal. And I think the sequence is attempt to get an agreement, Stuart, with Ukraine first, and then take that agreement to the Russians. My gut feel here is Ukraine may indeed agree to most of this and maybe have some concerns about the Crimea issue, but I do believe Russia outright will reject it. And I suspect we'll be back kind of where we started. And then the president will have to make a decision. Is he going to go after Putin in terms of sanctions? I think he should, and they should be tough. Senator Graham has got 57 senators lined up to impose very tough restrictions on Russia in terms of sanctions, and the Europeans would support that as well. And obviously upgun Ukraine in terms of military assistance and intelligence accordingly. But we'll see what happens here. This is an important step tomorrow, and then likely it'll take a day or two to understand what's happened there.
Got it. Change the subject. 10 years ago, when President Obama reached a deal with Iran to limit its nuclear program, Saudi Arabia did not agree. They called that arrangement weak. Well, now the Trump administration is negotiating another deal, but Saudi Arabia supports this one. General, why is this? Would the Saudis prefer a deal with Iran rather than the destruction of Iran's nuclear facilities?
Yeah, well, what the Saudis are very concerned about, and the Iranians have made certain that they understand, any Arab nation in the region that is supporting Israel or the United States or both conducting a strike on Iran, and if it was carried out, obviously an airstrike, the Iranians have flagged that to the Arab states who would be supporting that they intend to retaliate against them, as well as obviously Israel and a U.S. presence of troops in the region. And Saudi Arabia has accepted that as a valid statement by Iran and wants to avoid that for certain. So that is why they're hoping that this works out peacefully. But the deal really has problems and hair all over it, because it appears that the United States is prepared to not to dismantle, to insist that Iran dismantle their entire nuclear enterprise, but leave Iran with nuclear capabilities, advanced centrifuges, the facilities that manufacture them, the places where they spin and enrich uranium. Probably likely have to give up a lot of the enriched uranium. But here's the catch. Iran in 2025 is different than Iran in 2015. They have manufacturing capability to develop these advanced centrifuges. And with those advanced centrifuges, they can establish weaponized enriched uranium in weeks at a secret site. So even if you had the 2015 deal or something close to it all over again in 25, the Iranians can move out very quickly and still get to weaponization. And that, I think, is the flaw in these discussions going forward.
Let me quickly deal with this. The Wall Street Journal reports that, quote, Cuba is running on empty. The country is broke. General, I see this as a foreign policy opportunity for the president, President Trump. How about you?
Yeah, well, there is close to economic collapse there, for sure. And, you know, it's amazing that the people haven't organized some kind of an insurgency to topple this bankrupt regime which has been repressing them since 1959. It's absolutely staggering what is happening to the people there. A diplomatic effort by the Trump team to negotiate something here in terms of making some progress with that regime, I think is doubtful because they have resisted all efforts to change. I mean, this is a communist state, dictatorial, that represses its people routinely and has driven the entire economy into the ground.
It has.
It is really sad in terms of what is happening to the people there.
But
I don't see much of a diplomatic solution because these guys just won't change their stripes.
Right.
And we've tried before.
General Jack Keane, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us, sir. We'll see you again real soon. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.